Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Regina. I live right in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been here for about 20 years. And if you're new to my channel as well, my content, if you will, I do daily vlogs. I talk about my life. I do, TikToks and skits and things like that. But today is a sit down video. So every now and then I have a sit down video explaining something, talking about a major topic in my life that has happened. And today's going to be one of those days. So this may be one of the hardest videos that I've ever done. Excuse my edges because I don't have any edge control, but ignore the edges and listen to the words, okay? So again, this may be the hardest video that I've ever done. I'm sure I'm going to cry a lot through this video. And I'm sure I'm going to need a lot of breaks doing this video. I have said I was going to do this video and I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. And I just decided to do it today and just put all of my emotions and thoughts in this video. So I'm sure it's going to be a rough watch. An emotional watch. So grab your tissues with me because I'm guaranteed to cry and probably do some ugly cries in the process. So if you want to hear this story, first give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel and help this channel get to 500 so I can monetize it. So let's get into this video. Okay, so my mother died when I was either 14 or 15. It's kind of a blur now, but I was either a freshman or a sophomore, one of the two. So going back in this time, I'm gonna first say I never talk about this. I never talk about it. I never open up about it because I do not like experiencing these emotions. So this is the first time in over 20 years I've even spoke about this. So going back to this time, I was in high school. I had just got to high school. But before high school, probably was I was still in middle school. And how old were you when you were in 8th grade? 12? No, that's 6th grade. 8th grade is what? I didn't forgot. Well, however old you're supposed to be in 8th grade. 13? So it's either like 12, 13? Because 9th grade, you're like 14, 15. Y'all know. It's been too long for me. But like around 8th grade, I did notice something when it comes to my mom. Because my mom was a single mother for a long time. Until she met her husband. And so she used to come home. She used to work at a factory. She used to work at a factory, a Hershey factory, actually. So she used to come home with a lot of chocolates and stuff like that. And I used to love it. Because, she used to come home with the Hershey Snickers and Reese's Pieces and all those Hershey candies. I used to love it, right? But what I did notice, something in specific. My mom's shirt, where the nipples were, used to always be bloody. I didn't know what cancer was. You know what cancer is, but I didn't know what cancer looks like or what happens when you do have cancer. I didn't know that. So when you pointed out to my mom, she was just like, oh, don't worry about it. And she'd just go change your shirt and that'd be that. And I'm like, okay, if my mom said don't worry about it, then I'm not going to worry about it. I was too young to worry about it anyway. So I didn't. Fast forward to I was a freshman. Is when my mama actually finally started going to the doctor. I don't know if she was getting sicker physically or whatever, but something made her start going to the doctor. But when she started going to the doctor, she found out it was a little bit too late. She waited way too long to go to the doctor. So when they found out, I think my mom was already in stage 4. when she actually started going. So they did as much as they could possibly do. She went to chemo, and I used to go with her to chemo. You know, just if you watched the movie Sex and the City, and you saw, you know, all her friends carrying them sitting around Samantha with the freeze pops. That's a real thing. That's exactly what they do. That's what I used to do with my mom. I still didn't quite understand I knew this is what chemo is. She was taking pills, chemo pills, but it wasn't really affecting her physically, because my mom's body shape is exactly like my body shape right now. Like what it is now, exactly what my mom was. So it wasn't affecting her physically, but what it was affecting her hair. So her mom hair used to be probably like to her shoulders. During chemo, all her hair fell out. So she was still living, functioning as normal, you know, just as normal. She didn't tell us like it's worse, it's bad. She didn't say anything. She was just like, you know, she was more concerned about her hair that she was bald now. And we used to make fun of, as stupid teenagers did, me and my other sisters used to make fun of my mom bald. And we thought we were just being cute and funny and trying to make my mama laugh, but we didn't really realize until she actually told us that we was really, you know, hurting her feelings by making jokes of her bald head. And it didn't really hit us, you know, that, cause for like me personally, if I went bald, I wouldn't care, because I cut off my hair in a minute. I was just bald like 6 months ago. So it wouldn't have really bothered me if I was bald, but it really bothered my mom. It made her feel less than a woman to not have any hair. So when she disclosed the information, we really felt bad, and we never made jokes about it at all, ever again. You know, her wigs, anything, because I wear wigs now, you know, but it's very different time. You know, a woman wearing wigs and being bald has a different stigma back then than it does now. So by the time I was a sophomore, things began to take a turn for the worse. The chemo wasn't working anymore. The cancer began to spread to my mother's organs. And we began to see what cancer really does to someone. So the doctor said, you know, we need to do a double mastectomy, because the cancer is way too aggressive. It's fighting against the chemo. No matter what we do, it's too aggressive. So they had a double mastectomy. Get it together. You can get dressed. So had a double mastectomy, went through the surgery. And this when you physically like begin to see. You can see. You can see cancer. Because she don't have any breasts now. So you see how big my boobs are? Do you see how big my boobs are? I don't think you can see it. Imagine both of these gone. Both of them are gone. And it's just an open space right there. And it's not even the muscle anymore. The muscle's been eaten away. The muscle was eaten away by the cancer. So all you saw was like these white, like knots everywhere. They were just white. And if you touch it, they were hard as a rock. I'm assuming my mom was in pain, but I really don't really know if she was in pain or not. But what I do know, she began to lose weight over time. She lost, And again, my mama was like my size. So in the end of her life, when it was getting really close to the end of her life, I was like a sophomore. I went from working and taking care of her children to not even being able to take care of herself. So I don't remember why I knew this. But the sibling that I don't speak with to this day, we were riding in a car one day. It was riding. My mama had a Chevy Cobalt. And we were riding, I forget where we were going. We were going somewhere medically related. And I said to her, I don't remember why I knew this information. But I said to her, if mom goes on hospice, do not put mom in in the hospice facility. And I remember her asking me why. I said, because maybe I worked in one before, so I knew. Maybe that's what it was. I worked, but I was only 14. So again, I don't know why I know this information. I can't quite remember, but I guess it doesn't matter. But I did know. I said, do not put mom in the facility. And she asked why. I said, because when they go into hospice, it's the end of their life. Which means the doctor orders more medication than they're supposed to take to kill them faster. So they're supposed to have another month to live. You're going on a hospice, they may live a week. Because the nurse has given them so much medication, it literally kills them. I said, don't do that to mom. So she didn't. She listened and she didn't. And that sibling was kind of like over all of my mom's stuff. So they had the nurse come to the house. So we got to spend all of her kids at this time end up coming back home because they had moved out for different reasons and lived other places for different reasons. But then at the end of her life, all of her kids came back to the house. So we got to spend a little longer time with her. And even though you know that it's going to happen, right? You know it's going to happen. You just not prepared for it to happen, right? Even though you know, you're just prepared. So the night comes. So at this point, my mom has a hospital bed in the living room. I don't even remember what they did with the furniture. But they transformed our living room. My brothers transformed my living room into her space. So they had a hospital bed in there. The nurse used to come to the house, you know, the caregivers used to come to the house. They put like a little toilet seat or whatever next to her, so she needs to get up and go to the bathroom. A sibling will help her go to the bathroom. How humiliating it had to be. To have your sons have to watch you take a poop or pee and have to clean up behind you. How humiliating it gotta be. What could she do? She didn't have the strength to do it by herself. The cancer took it all. Every little strength she had, the cancer took it all. So, the night my life changed forever. We happened to all be at the house. That really never happens. My brother used to run the streets all the time. The other brother was a pastor, so he was always at church doing something. So, but all of us happened to be at the house all the time at this time. And me and the sister that I was used to be close to, we was actually in Mom's room. It was in Mom's room. And we used to watch. We was watching our favorite movies, which was Superstar and Sister Act. Those are our favorite movies. We used to watch them all the time. And my siblings was happy to be in the living room with my mom. And you began to hear my siblings started, you know, sort of saying like, "Oh, hey, Mom, breathe, Mom, are you okay, Mom?" And when I realized she wasn't okay, they shut her bedroom door. They shut her door and they shut us inside the room. They called 911. And me and my sister was in the room, terrified. Because we didn't know what was going on out there. We just heard it. We didn't know what was going on. So they didn't let us out of the room. We saw the ambulance. And then all of our siblings left. And me and my sister, I was like 15, she probably was 16. We were just in the front room, just watching the ambulance go. And our neighbor, her name was Miss Virgil. Her and my mother was like this. She was like my mother's godmother. So she came over to the house to check on us. And she told us, she said, it's a good thing that they turned the lights off. You know, the apple lamps, they have the emergency light flash. It was like, it's a good thing to turn the lights off, because when they turn the lights off, that means your mother is okay. So that was that was a sign of relief. That's what we thought. Because we didn't get any other information. We really did. So we believed Miss Virgil, that she knew what she was talking about. So he was like, okay, Mom, smile. We'll hear something in a little bit. Days went on. We didn't ask because they didn't say anything. Like, they didn't let us know nothing. And we had 3 other siblings. They knew my mother died that day. They knew my mother died that day. That night, by the time she got to the hospital, she was already gone. But they knew that. And they decided to not tell us that. Why they decided that, I will never know. So we went on, thinking my mother was alive and she was going to come home. We was at my brother's house. We was at my brother's house, having a good old time, hanging out like we used to. He's the oldest. It's crazy. We found out by a lady named Sister Faye, who was a family friend. 3 to 4 days later, she came over to my brother's house and grabbed me and my sister and said, okay, we need to have a discussion about where do you guys want to live. And we looked at each other like, why? We were just waiting to go home when my mom got out of the hospital. And she looked at us and she said, you guys don't know? And we were like, no, what? She looked down at the ground and said, your mother passed 3 days ago. We was in so shock. We was in such shock and disbelief that my siblings held some information like that from us. They knew my mother died and didn't tell us. It's still amazing to this day. Going to the funeral. It was the hardest thing that I ever could have done. I sat on the front row. And the funeral went on. And I didn't have any emotion until they opened the casket and said goodbyes. And when I saw the top of her nose, because her nose was pretty much like mine, I saw the top of her nose. I couldn't see anything else. And they tried to drag me to the casket. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't feel like that. I couldn't do it. When I saw my mom, what she looked like in her casket was on some pictures. And I didn't want to see it then. It was the day. It's like my life left. To experience something so devastating. It's a hard blow. It's a hard blow. It's been over 15 years since she's been gone. And it still hurts like it's yesterday. So, if you still have your mother, love her, respect her, appreciate her. Because once she's gone, she's gone. There's no do-overs. There's no do-overs. So, appreciate your mother while you have a chance. I've tried to say that to both of my sons, whether they listen or not. Because once I'm gone, I'm gone. I love you, Eva Robinson. And I hope to see you again one day. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.